Hope's decision was not just a personal blow, but also a public one. The news had traveled around Forrester. Creations like wildfire were whispered in the design rooms, debated in the boardroom, and discussed over coffee in the break room. Everyone had an opinion, and Carter could feel the weight of their stares as he strolled through the corridors. He was the man who had stood by Hope's side, listening to her, supporting her, and daring to hope, pun intended, that their tie was more than friendship. Now he was the man lurking in the shadows as Hope picked Liam, the same Liam who had been torn between her and Steffi Forrester for years. Carter's thoughts raced back to the times he and Hope had shared. Late nights spent working on her fashion business, hope for the future, their laughter booming through the quiet workplace. Her eyes shone as she spoke about her vision, her commitment to sustainability, and ethical design. He had been captivated to her fortitude and tenacity after years of heartache. He'd seen her recover from Liam's betrayals, the fiasco with Thomas Forrester, and every other setback life threw at her. Carter adored, respected, and eventually fell for her. Hard. He moved away from the window and ran his palm over his face, attempting to relieve the agony in his chest. The office was quiet now, with the hum of the day fading as staff left. But Carter couldn't leave yet. He needed to think about why Hope's decision felt like such a betrayal. Was it because he mistook their connection? Or because he allowed himself to imagine, even for a brief minute, that she saw him in the same way he saw her? The door creaked open and Rich Forrester came inside, commanding as usual. "Carter, you're still here?" Ridge's voice seemed nonchalant, but his eyes furrowed as he observed Carter's stiff stance. "Everything okay?" Carter forced a smile, the type he'd honed over years of negotiating Forrester family strife. "Just finishing up some work," he said, pointing vaguely to the papers on his desk. Ridge did not buy it. He folded his arms and leaned against the door frame. "Heard about Hope and Liam," he remarked, his tone cautious. "Big news." "Yeah," Carter responded, his voice tight. "Big news." Ridge eyed him for a moment before moving deeper into the room and closed the door behind him. "You want to talk about it?" Carter's immediate reaction was to brush it off, insist he was all right, and shift the conversation. But Ridge was more than just his boss. He was a buddy who had witnessed Carter's own sexual blunders. Still, revealing how much Hope's engagement hurt seemed like exposing a wound he wasn't ready to face. "There's nothing to talk about," Carter finally stated, his voice quiet. "She made her choice." Ridge nodded, but his expression remained doubtful. "Are you sure about that? Because you seem like you're about to punch a hole in that desk." Carter let out a sour laugh and shook his head. "Maybe I am." Ridge sighed and pulled out a chair to sit across from Carter. "Look, I understand you and Hope have been close. Working together, spending so much time on her line, it's natural to feel something. But Hope and Liam have history. A lot of it." "I know," Carter snapped, then stopped himself and softened his tone. "I understand their past, Ridge. Better than most. I've been there for every breakup, every reconciliation, and every time Liam couldn't decide who he wanted. And every time Hope gets up and pushes forward. She is stronger than he deserves." Ridge lifted his eyebrow. "Sounds like you've got some strong feelings about this." Carter did not answer quickly. He strolled over to the couch in the corner of his office, sank down and rubbed his temples. I wondered if she was ready to move on. For real this time. Not just from Liam but from the entire situation, the back and forth, the drama. I believe she noticed anything strange about me. Ridge leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees. "And you think she doesn't?" "I don't know what she sees," Carter acknowledged, his voice hoarse. "But if she's saying yes to Liam, then whatever I thought we had, I was wrong." The words weighed heavily in the air. Carter wasn't used to feeling this way. Confused and rejected. He'd developed a life based on control, on being the steady hand in an otherwise chaotic environment. As the COO of Forrester Creations, he was in charge of resolving issues and keeping the firm going while the Forresters and Logans fought over love and devotion. He had officiated marriages, drawn up contracts, and cleaned up messes. But what about the mess? This was his problem and he had no idea how to fix it. Ridge arose, clapping his hand on Carter's shoulder. "Give it time, man. Hope has a large heart, but it has been through a lot. Maybe she's not thinking clearly right now. Doesn't imply she doesn't value you. Carter nodded, but the words did not relieve the tension in his chest. As Ridge went, Carter's thoughts returned to Hope. He imagined her smile, the way she tilted her head when deep in concentration, and how she confided in him about her concerns and dreams. He had assumed that those moments meant something. Had he been deceiving himself? Carter avoided the main design floor the next day, knowing Hope would be there, bright as usual, and most likely sparkling with delight about her engagement. He immersed himself in work. Contracts, budgets, anything to take his mind off her. But by lunchtime, fate had different intentions. Hope knocked on his office door, her presence like a bright flash of light in the room. "Carter, can we talk?" Her voice was quiet and tentative, sending a thrill through him. He looked up from his desk, his expression bland. "Sure. What's up?" Hope walked inside and closed the door behind her. She was dressed in one of her own creations, a flowing gown that caressed her shape in the perfect places. Her hair was brushed over one shoulder, and her piercing blue eyes reflected a mix of determination and apprehension. "I heard you've been quiet today," she said, toying with the band on her wrist. "I just wanted to check in." Carter leaned back in his chair, maintaining an even tone. "I am all right, Hope. Just busy." She bit her lip and studied him. "Carter, you are one of my close pals. I can detect if something is incorrect. Is it about me and Liam?" Her query was unexpectedly frank. He wanted to deny it, laugh it off, and express his happiness for her. But the words remained in his throat. Instead, he met her stare, his own eyes revealing the pain he'd been attempting to conceal. "Why him?" Carter inquired, his voice softer than he intended. "After everything, why Liam?" Hope's countenance softened, and she moved closer, sitting on the edge of his desk. "Hi, Carter. I understand that this may appear sudden, but Liam and I have been through so much together. We have Beth. We have a family. When he proposed, it felt right." "Right," Carter echoed, unable to keep the edge off his voice. "Hope, he has crushed your heart more than I can count. He's been back and forth with you and Steffi for years. And now you are saying yes to him? Again." Hope flinched, but she did not look away. "I understand it's complicated. I know Liam has made mistakes. So have I. But I believe in us, in what we may become. I want to give our family a proper shot." Carter shook his head, standing and marching toward the window. "You deserve better than that, Hope. You deserve to be with someone who doesn't constantly make you question your worth. Someone who recognizes you for who you are, not merely as part of a romantic triangle." Hope's eyes widened, and there was a brief quiet between them. "Carter," she murmured softly, "you've always been here for me. You have been my rock. I'm not sure what I'd do without you." "Then why didn't you choose me?" The words spilled out before he could stop them, fresh and unfiltered. He turned to face her, his heart racing. "I have been here, Hope. Through everything. I have seen you at your best and worst, and I have never wavered. Why wasn't that enough?" Hope's breath hitched and she rose, crossing the room to stand in front of him. "Carter, I had no idea you felt like this. Not like this." He laughed cruelly, putting his palm over his head. "Guess I hid it too well." "No," she swiftly said, reaching out to grasp his arm. "You didn't. I have always sensed a connection between us. But I thought we were pals. I hadn't realized." "You didn't realize because I didn't want you to," Carter said, stepping back. "I didn't want to complicate matters for you. You had plenty going on with Liam, Thomas, and your family. I believed if I was patient and showed you who I am, you'd recognize it. You would see me." Hope's eyes shone with unshed tears. "I see you, Carter. You are one of the best men I know. You embody kindness, strength, and all the qualities desired by others. But my heart is with Liam right now. I have to follow it." Carter nodded softly, the fight slipping from him. "I get it," he replied, his voice lifeless. "I just wish it didn't hurt so much." Hope grabbed for him again, but he took a step back, creating space between them. "I'm sorry," she muttered. "I never wanted to hurt you." "I know," he replied, attempting a faint smile. "Go be happy, Hope. That is all I've ever wanted for you." She hesitated, as if she wanted to say more, before nodding and leaving the office. Carter stood there, staring at the closed door and feeling the weight of her absence. He had exposed his heart, and while nothing had changed, there was a peculiar relief in finally expressing it aloud. Carter put himself into work with such zeal that even Ridge was taken aback. He took on extra work, remained late, and avoided situations where he might come across Hope and Liam. But the news of their engagement was unavoidable. Steffi, never one to back down, cornered him in the hallway one afternoon, her arms crossed and her face a mix of sympathy and frustration. "You're killing yourself over this, Carter," she frankly stated. "You need to let her go." "I'm trying," he said, his voice tight. Steffi softened, putting her hand on his arm. "You are too good for this. You deserve someone to select you first, not as a backup plan." Her comments stung, but they were correct. Carter had spent too long being the dependable one, resolving everyone else's problems while disregarding his own. Maybe it was time to focus on himself and figure out what he wanted other than Hope Logan. Carter gradually regained his footing as the weeks went into months. He began spending more time away from the office, reconnecting with friends, going to the gym, and even planning a vacation, something he hadn't done in years. The pain of Hope's engagement did not go away, but it subsided, becoming a quiet ache rather than a piercing wound. One evening as he was leaving Forrester Creations, he came across Hope in the parking lot. She was alone, her engagement ring gleaming under the streetlights. She smiled at him tentatively but warmly. "Hey," she said. "I haven't seen you much lately." "Been busy," Carter responded, maintaining a pleasant tone. "How's everything with you?" "Good," she answered, but her eyes flickered with something, perhaps uncertainty? "Wedding plannings. Overwhelming but good." Carter nodded, unsure of what to say. The stillness stretched between them, not uncomfortable but full of unspoken words. "Carter," Hope began abruptly, "I meant what I said before. You are one of the most important people in my life. I hope we can remain friends." He gazed at her deeply, and for the first time in weeks, he didn't feel the same draw. He still cared for her, and probably always would, but the desperation, the want to be more, was waning. "We'll always be friends, Hope," he promised, and he meant it. "Take care of yourself, okay?" She grinned, relief spreading across her face. "You too." As Carter drove away, he felt a weight lift. Hope's decision had hurt, but it also forced him to confront his own emotions, allowing him to see himself clearly for the first time in a long time. He wasn't just the person who fixed things and watched others go about their daily lives. He was Carter Walton, and he was ready to begin his own story, one in which he wasn't waiting for someone else to select him.